So over time, dragons have certainly come to be one of the main icons of both fantasy and magic. Much like other elemental beings, dragons are said to be a composite of imaginative make-believe. Esoteric lore is very clear on this matter, however, in which dragons did once exist physically and are now part of the astro-elemental group. Because elementally, dragons are both these kind of fire-air constructs. There are also elemental dragons of different types for each element, and there's also other concepts of the dragon found in Druidry that are not necessarily synonymous with our fantasy depiction of dragons. According to Druidic lore, the Earth, in and of itself, the very planet of the Earth, is like a body of a great dragon. And in essence, the whole system of Gaia is viewed as a dragon form. Like many of the ancient concepts, this dragon Earth theory is not exclusively maintained at all by the Druids. It's not Celtic specific at all. The oldest documented mythologies, that of the Sumerians, explains that the Earth was created and are inhabited by a powerful reptilian or draconian race, and that in and of itself, the metaphorical battle between Tiamat and Marduk and the construction of the Earth planet, all gives light to this. In this mythology of prehistoric Mesopotamia, we find a picture painted of a race of dragons doing battle throughout the universe. The modern world has only received physical evidence of dinosaurs and such beings, 150 years ago, which prompted the field of paleontology. Esoteric lore calls these beings, saurians, and contrary to popular belief, they were exceptionally intelligent. And since, there's several different races, because you have the saurians, and then draconians, and reptilians, and so forth. Today's scientists really have no distinction of these races and seem to develop this concept of dinosauria, some cross between mammal and reptile with minimal intelligence. But in truth, these ancient beings possess significant knowledge and were extremely proficient in channeling currents of lunar, solar, and earth magic, all of which were at their disposal. The saurians of Earth built vast civilizations and were considered the dominant species, self-assumed, of course, which is the nature of overtly intelligent life. See that with humans today. So they were such in their day. When they discovered the static technical potentials, electricity, nanotechnology, bioengineering, they became bored with their peace and knowledge and began to wage wars on one another. And they destroyed the land for a time and caused massive shifts in planetary energy. Has all life, animals and humans, evolved from these saurians and their kind? It's doubtful, especially examining other materials from the Sumerians and whatnot. But it's important that to understand nothing lasts. Everything moves, everything vibrates, all vibrations are subject to change, frequency, and this is the material world, physical existence. On the other hand, we know that elemental beings have a means of slipping into the astral mist that envelop our sphere of existence, so to speak. There's always that archetypal question of whether or not there are interstellar elementals with galactic technologies. So dragons are one of many fantasy creatures that seem to have emerged in the genetic memory coding of humans as a result of the condensation of the physical world as a result of the shifts in the ages. Since most people do not accept the existence of such beings, and certainly have never called such a being into their lives, well, there's been a serious shortage of spiritual encounters concerning such manifestations these days. Naturally, reality is going to boil down to what you accept as real, and everything else becomes classified by the rational mind as phenomena. There are those claiming even now that dragons physically exist in remote locations. and that they have the ability to mimic their surroundings and go seemingly undetected while still in the physical world. And, you know, we see this depicted in movies like Dragonheart, where the dragon has the ability to assume like a stone form. Dragon spotters exist all over the world, just like fairy hunters and vampire slayers, I suppose, and have given to their science the name of verminology. And they recommend for those living in the United States to seek them in the mountain ranges on either side of the continent, as well as the upper Midwest. Verminology believes that manifestations of dragons exist in their natural environments. And in the early 80s, Warner Brothers actually put out a book, Warner Brother Books, and then it's been since published, but Pamela Blanchide, she wrote this book, Dragons: A Guide to the Modern Infestation, and it's kind of motivated this concept. The book suggests that there's prominent colonies of dragons around both poles in Canada, Western and South America, the mountains and forests of Peru, Bolivia, Argentina, Russia, China, the Zaire, Congo region, Britain, very heavily in Australia and New Zealand. So, interesting reading in that. So, you know, oftentimes the difficulty with seeing an apparition of a spiritual entity is that they must allow themselves to be seen, or else consciously move into our time-space energy. This takes great effort on their part, as the conditions for such an energetic exchange kind of have to be perfect. For this reason, many Druids projected themselves into the astral, into the other world, very shamanic idea to try and work with and reach spiritual energies and guides and whatnot on their own level, as opposed to the expenditure of ridiculous amounts of energy to try and conjure these spirits to quote-unquote physical apparition in this world.